Hello, everyone. We have another interesting session today, and we will learn how AI is integrated with healthcare system. He's Mr. Daniel Elton, and he's a researcher, and he have very good contribution in AI, especially in healthcare system. So we will understand what happening in healthcare system with the collaboration of AI. So, hello, Mr. Daniel. How are you?
Good. It's good to be here.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Can you please introduce yourself and especially your career, your
hmm
activities, how you work? Yeah.
hmm Well, my background is in physics. I was a graduate student in physics for about 6 years, and I did an entire PhD in physics. Um, but I got to sort of a little bit burned out with the type of work I had been doing, and I decided to switch into machine learning about 4 years ago. And for the past year and a half, I've been working at the National Institutes of Health um, on applications of machine learning and AI to medical imaging. Um, and so that's kind of where my expertise is now.
Mhm. Yes. Like how actually AI working in healthcare system? Can you share with our audience and how it's important because
Hmm.
we have many we know many hospitals even in from Asia there are many hospital many healthcare system still they are not adapted this kind of
hmm
technology. So what do you want to
Well,
share? Yeah.
well, the truth is, it's not actually adapted or adopted much here in the United States either. Um, there's a lot of impressive uh, uh, research findings and publications and proof of concept things, but it turns out it's a lot of work to translate uh, these systems into actual clinical practice. So, to be perfectly honest, it's not actually used by doctors much. Um, However, there is a lot of startups working on deploying it into hospitals. Um, so I think in a few years we're going to see it start to be used. But um, it I think actually in the developing world it may be used uh, more soon than in the U.S. just because there's greater need and for uh, these systems since there's the fewer highly trained doctors. Um, right now, a lot of the AI is sort of there's a lot of AI for medical imaging that's at the level of your average doctor. So that's very exciting.
Yeah.
hmm
Oh, no, this is very interesting. Beside that, let's say I also have curiosity. USA is one of the largest economy, and in present COVID situations, can you share some like experience about the healthcare system of USA
hmm
and what's the present situation of USA healthcare system?
Well, I'm not really an expert on the healthcare system, but um, I know one of the problems is with electronic health records. So uh, people thought that electronic health records were going to allow for much greater efficiency and also uh, allow for medical information to be collected in a digital form so that you could do some data analytics or personalized medicine. But what's happened is that entering in all this data into the computer has actually become very time consuming, and so doctors are finding they're spending it's actually instead of being more efficient, it's actually taking up a lot of their time. And they've also invented a whole new position now called a medical scribe, which and the medical scribes are people who just enter data in, and also fill out a lot of these forms and paperwork. So for one, that there's a lot of room for improvement in that. But I'm not an expert in it. I just know that that is one of the sort of challenges right now in digitizing patient data and allowing doctors to freeing up doctors to spend more time with their patients. There's also an entire problem in the healthcare system where many people don't have insurance. But again, I can't really, and that is, that has been due to this sort of mixed system we have where you can select either, where we have sort of a mixture of government run insurance and private insurance, which is very complicated. And not everyone gets registered into that system.
One thing, like example, I just want to share from, let's say I'm from Asia Pacific, and
Mm-hmm.
Asia Pacific, like two-thirds of the people actually live in Indian, the subcontinent and the Chinese continent and this area. So my question is that there are many young populations, they're working, they're developing, they're growing, those who are under 30 years old. So like how actually AI create opportunity for them,
Mm.
and how they can build their skills or knowledge based on AI, and how they can develop themselves. What's your advice? What's your
Mm.
suggestions and guideline for them?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is there's an enormous amount of online courseware available now. So you can learn from some of the top experts in the world at places like Stanford. There's Andrew Ng has a very popular course on the introductory machine learning, which for many years he taught at Stanford, and it was only available to Stanford students, but now it's published on Coursera and is accessible to anyone. So I would encourage people to look at that. And then there's also MIT OpenCourseWare. So I think the playing field has sort of been leveled a lot in the sense that the opportunity to learn is more accessible globally now. So I expect, and I also think that some of the Asian countries also value that type of learning more than we do here in the US. So I expect that a lot of the next generation of AI experts will come from those countries. You mentioned Asia, the subcontinent, like India, Malaysia, Singapore, all those countries. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bangladesh. Yeah.
Yes, my specific objective is that, like example, let's say AI integrated with healthcare system,
Mm,
and yes, yeah, around the world, every country is actually right now is struggling with their healthcare system. Actually,
mm,
how in COVID-19 situations AI can give solution for this COVID-19 situations. How you
mm.
want to analyze this point? How you want to discuss this point? Yeah.
Well, um, I, uh, there's a lot of potential. I think we're not quite there yet. So maybe the next pandemic, we'll see
Mhm.
AI really being very helpful. But there's a lot of exciting things people are studying right now. So the one that I'm most familiar with is using AI for medical image diagnosis. So you can use AI to diagnose COVID-19 in chest X-ray and CT scans, and the it's a little bit hard to do in chest X-ray, but it's very accurate in CT scans. Now, the thing is, though, that it's also fairly easy for a human to do. So a medical intern could learn how to diagnose COVID-19 in an X-ray or a CT scan fairly easily. So there's certain features that you see in the lungs, like there's these things called ground glass opacities, and certain lesions that can appear in the lungs. So you can teach people to do this quite easily. So the added value of AI is maybe not very great, but it's very exciting that AI can be used for that. So that's the application I'm most familiar with. There's also a lot of discussion about using AI for epidemiological modeling, to predict like where it's going to occur, and find like leading indicators of where the next outbreak may occur. I've seen a lot of news articles and things about that, but I'm not sure if there's any systems that actually been demonstrated. So I think maybe it's a little bit overhyped, to be perfectly honest. But I do think there's a lot of potential for AI in these areas.
Yes, this is very interesting. But my question is that, like, when AI actually integrated with these healthcare systems and different kind of technologies and other things, is it a good opportunity for human, or it's actually threat for human resources? There are a lot of debate actually happening right now. But what your explanation about this issue?
Well, a lot of people are worried about job loss. And there's a lot of debate about that. So far, interestingly, so far there hasn't really been any job loss due to the increased automation. So there's an economist named Robin Hanson, and he did a study of different fields and the amount of automation in different fields. Certain fields have been automated recently, like car manufacturer. But he found that there was not much job loss in those fields. So people kind of switched to doing different things so far there hasn't been much job loss, but I am actually quite concerned that there could be a very rapid amount of job loss or turmoil in the labor market because of AI. One area where things could change very quickly would be with driverless cars. In the United States, the most popular profession, or the most common profession, is truck driver. So in many states, so a lot of people are employed in that field. That could change very quickly, and a lot of people could lose their jobs. So yeah, I'm concerned a lot about job loss in particular fields. But for radiology, some of the leading figures in AI have said that radiologists should start looking for that we should stop training radiologists And in particular, Jeffrey Hinton, who's very famous in the field of AI, said that we should stop training radiologists. And based on my experience in radiology, I don't think that would be a good idea. I think we still will need radiologists to help, but their jobs will change and they will be using the AI. They will be sort of teaming with the AI, and then they will be interpreting the AI outputs and combining those AI outputs with other information about the patient to arrive at a final diagnosis. And then, radiologists also probably start engaging more in the human contact and discussions with the patient. Right now, radiologists are so busy reading these images that they don't actually spend any time with patients. So with the advent of AI automating a lot of that, they will be able to spend more time with patients. So anyway, the point is, I think there's certain fields where there will be much job loss, but I don't think I think the concerns are a little bit overblown. That said, I think if you're looking for a good career, AI is probably one of the best fields to go into overall, and also one of the safest. But yeah, I'm not worried about like radiologists losing their jobs or other other specialists.
Yes, there is a specific audience response. I think he has a question. He's Mr. Brent Elman. He said, Dan, I had read some article about how AI and machine learning were being used to identify treatments for COVID as well. Do you know much about this, and could you elaborate, like the COVID solutions? Yeah.
I'm not aware of that. I don't actually think we have a lot of proven treatments for COVID-19. There's the remdesivir, but that is in very short supply. There's, so I'm not sure what the added value of that would be in this particular case. But in general, I think that is very, having personalized medicine and using AI for personalized medicine to target a treatment to a specific individual will be very revolutionary, because right now we give a lot of drugs that are not really useful. Most drugs don't actually help, or they help only a small percentage of the people that they're given to. But with personalized medicine, we can target specifically which drugs are going to be useful. So I want to be kind of realistic, because I do think there's a lot of hype, actually. I think we're sort of at a peak of a hype cycle right now. And so I want to try to present a more, try to be realistic and grounded in what's going on. But at the same time, I'm very optimistic about the future. I think, a lot of this stuff that's hyped is not here right now, but it will be here very soon.
Yes, interesting. So, like example, you are talking about autonomous vehicles and different sectors. Actually, AI right now integrated: manufacturing industry, energy, healthcare systems, everywhere. Actually, AI playing the role. So, what will happen next decades? What do you think? It will be biggest competitions of human and AI, or this is actually for it's actually good opportunity for human?
Well, it's really hard to predict. So Ray Kurzweil, who has been very influential in my thinking, has noted the Moore's law, right, and if that continues, which I think there's a good chance it will, we will be able to purchase the computing power equivalent, very roughly equivalent to the brain sometime around 2045. So a distinct possibility is that we will have human level AI around 2045. However, I think there's a lot of uncertainty about that, because the brain is wired. Just because you have something which can do the same amount of computations as in parallel as the brain, it doesn't mean you're automatically going to have a human level AI. The brain is wired in a very specific way. And I think the wiring, what we're discovering is a lot of this wiring was learned through evolution, through thousands and thousands of years, millions of years. So it may not be easy to replicate that wiring and understand how the specific wiring. Or it may be that there is a specific wiring pattern, say in the cortex, which we can discover, and then that pattern is just replicated. It's almost like a universal kind of wiring. In that case, things could accelerate very quickly, and we could have, as soon as we have the hardware available, we'll have human level AI. So it's just really hard to predict, because it depends on things we don't know. We just don't know. But I think, so I don't, so I'm not going to say like a specific date, because I think we need to understand there's a lot of uncertainty. Now, as far as like, there are some things that we can tell are very, I think, in the fairly likely to happen in the next, say, 10 years. For instance, driverless cars, more AI in medicine. That's pretty much already established that AIs will be used in medicine, in medical imaging, and we may see chatbots. We may see better, very chatbots that are able to do more conversation. So we may see like Alexa and Google Home being able to do conversation instead of just like a question answer. They can actually engage in dialogue. It doesn't mean that these systems are going to be like human level, but they're able to do this kind of natural language dialogue. So I think that's very near term. That will mean a lot of jobs for telephone will be automated. That may actually be very relevant for people in India, where you have those big call centers. A lot of those jobs will be automated by conversational AI.
Yes, this is very interesting discussions. Besides that, I know that you are a researcher and you publish different research papers. And if you have any book on AI, you can share with our audience. We love to learn more about your research field and about your outcome. Even if in the research, if you have any limitations, you can share with us.
Well, people can go to my website, which is www.mooreisdifferent.com, and they can see some blog posts I have. I have a blog post on Moore's Law. I have a number of blog posts, and then they can see my research articles. The article, which I think maybe a lot of my research is on very specialized topics in medical AI. But I think one article people may find interesting is this recent article I did called Self-Explaining AI as an alternative to interpretable AI. And that it deals with looking at how we can trust AI, essentially. And so that's probably an article people may be more interesting to a general audience.
Yes.
And of course, people can follow me on Twitter also, and Facebook.
Mhm. Yes, this is interesting. Beside that, I just want to know. Let's say this may be different topic, and yes, you give different kind of online solutions and other things. But from my practical experience, I just want to share with you. Yes, online there are many resources and many things and many activities actually involved from Ivy League and many big universities and many interesting institutions. In real term, when we work with students, let's say different cultural, different portfolio students from Asia and Asia Pacific, I find that they do not have 100% interactions with these online courses and this kind of things. So
Hmm.
how we can make this learning process more productive? Because when I do practical work, even let's say even example, even in India, even in Bangladesh, Pakistan, even in Malaysia, in Kampung means village area, there are different languages people in young generation. My question is that how this kind of knowledgeable platform and other things we can make more productive, more effective for these people.
Um, that's a great question. Um, uh, I do think this social aspect is really important. So uh, uh, maybe so people should try to you know uh, network either online or in real life with other people that are also learning a subject. And I think when you exchange ideas with someone, you know, it helps solidify those ideas. When you're talking about it with another person, it really helps. Like, it helps you refine your understanding and cement that knowledge. So I think that the social interaction is really, really important. And it is a little bit hard to get that in like on these websites like Coursera. They do have forums, of course, I think, where you can go, but it's not the same as an in-person interaction. Um, so yeah, uh, but right now people are getting more comfortable with these online video conferencing things like Zoom. Another thing which I don't really know about, but which is probably maybe very kind of revolutionary, is virtual reality.
Mhm.
You can buy a virtual reality headset for like $20 now. It's that you attach to a phone. And there are some companies working on a virtual reality for education. Um, I forget the main one, but I think that could be very powerful for allowing those in-person interactions. There will be a bit of a, you know, and it could see a very rapid adoption, just like other technologies.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, this is very interesting because and most important thing I believe, because when I work with a young community and when I work with them, actually, I think major problem is that we have to teach them how to find out the problem and how to do the solutions. So in that particular area, actually different country has different problem, different cultural has different issues and challenges. So I
Mm.
think those who working with this kind of knowledgeable platform, they have to more focus on this culturals, language, and different economical aspect. I think they can think about that.
Hmm.
Okay, I want to move forward. Let's say in pandemic situation now, economy facing lot of challenges. At present situation, every countries go shut down. Every country has lot of challenges, and many people lose their job. Many people have lot of issues. Many people actually died. I'm sorry, but my point of view is that what your prediction for next 5 years? What will happen, especially in economy and human sustainability?
Human sustainability.
Yes, because already many people died. Even maybe what the record said.
Hmm.
See, real life scenario is completely different. I think more people actually are dying and they are suffering. Anything happening? Yeah.
Well, I do think there will be a vaccine. Uh, this we will get out of this current uh, horrible situation that everyone is in. And I think that it's good to look at the the good things that could emerge out of the COVID-19 pandemic. So, for instance, we may actually hopefully governments will decide to invest a lot more research, a lot more money into research on pandemic preparedness and how to develop vaccines very rapidly, and how to develop treatments, uh, and better preventative measures so that we can avoid pandemics in the future. And uh, so, uh, in a way, this pandemic uh, has been good in the sense that it was enough that the world has kind of woken up to the danger of pandemics while not being as bad as it could have been. So, pandemic uh, theoretically, pandemics could be much, much worse.
Mhm.
If you had something that was, say, as deadly as Ebola, but transmitted through the air, or could survive on surfaces, that would be just enormously devastating. Even and so if what happens as a result of COVID-19 is that we were able to prevent that kind of catastrophe in the future, that's actually a good thing that came out of it. We and then the other thing is, uh, we may see more more concern about these global risks in general. So, like other global problems like global warming. Um, I'm not so optimistic about that, but it's possible we may see some more international cooperation. So I think that the future is quite bright, despite this, things not going well right now. Uh, I'm still quite optimistic overall.
Mhm, mhm. Yes, and you come up with a very interesting issues, and this is actually even beside COVID-19. Now, actually, global warming also a big issues. Like say, China, India, Bangladesh, even this region, South Asian region, they are highly affected by this flood and these
Mm.
things. So even global warming also in challenging issues, and we have to solve this global warming and these things. Actually, what's the present situation? We were in right track, or actually
Well,
what?
um, I I, uh, I believe that if you that humanity is actually on an upward trajectory. It doesn't seem like that because the news is constantly very negative and focuses on um, these uh, you know, these different tragedies and stuff, and uh, basically that uh, there's the expression, if it bleeds it leads. So those those negative, we have sort of a bias toward um, toward negative stories, and uh, the media sort of plays into that, and so it doesn't, if you just read the news, it seems like
No,
everything's going to hell, right?
no, no,
But
no,
if
no.
you look at the overall trends, like Steven Pinker has, things are improving. So I think that overall we are using science and technology, we are on a upwards
No,
trajectory.
it's not actually media.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually practically victim of these things. Let's say I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually from Bangladesh. So
Mm-hmm.
let's say there is a place, Padma River. So yes, we are trying to developing a big bridge with the construction and other thing. So what happened? Many people actually losing their land. They are highly affecting by flood. It's not media, it's my personal experience. I know I
Mm-hmm.
have the integrations with the root level people. Millions of people now, they have lot of
Is that from climate change?
yes, definitely. It's a climate
Okay.
change, and maybe media is not come up with the real explanation what's going on. But issue is that
Mm-hmm.
many people, actually millions of people, actually now highly affected with the flood, with the climate change, and many things. And most important, most challenging thing is that I believe half cup empty, half cup full, and I love to learn. That's why I'm trying to integrate it with the first word, and I try to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Even the developing nations, we have to create a really knowledge based relationship, because when different big corporations go there and they're trying to build up different kind of projects and other things, it's my question, how many expert people we have, and we can understand the technology and what we adapted, is it right or wrong? We never know. So I think we need to grow a knowledge based community, and this is real, this is practical. It's not all about what I'm reading in media, what I'm very
Uh-huh.
practical, and I'm very much like engaged with the root level people. So
Um, yeah, so you're interested in how you can solve these problems that
exactly.
people are
Yes,
experiencing, right,
yes,
right in
yes.
your home country, and with the yeah. Um, well, I think education obviously is important. I think that uh, I'm not say an expert on global development by any means, but obviously education is critical, right? And then also I think giving people access to financial resources like loans or banking is important, so they can plan more. So say they need to move their farm away from a river to somewhere more sustainable. They may not be able to do that without taking out a loan, right? You know, to pay the expenses while they're moving their house. Um, and so being able banking and basic institutions like banking and private property rights, I think are critical. But I'm not an expert. This is just my my
Yeah, I
impression.
understand. I understand. I understand
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
this is the common sense you are utilizing, that how we can adapt it and these things. Okay. My next question is that, let's say there is a millions of people, those who are under skills, still they do
Mm.
not have enough knowledge and skills. And from first world, we are observing, yes, AI has a very good contribution and integrations with modern manufacturing and modern economy and these things. So like enhancing the capacity of these underprivileged people, what the strategy we can follow for enhancing this kind of people's capacity? What do you think?
Well, I think you need a certain number of institutions that have been proven to work before you can before you can before the kind of development into, say, high technology AI can occur. So I think you need, like, at the very baseline, you need banking, you need reliable, trustworthy banking, you need governments that you know, can enforce property rights and are not extremely corrupt. And you need good education that is accessible to everyone, or at least, you know, somewhat accessible. And I think, so I think there's a certain number of things you need in the society to kind of, before you can really have people realize their full potential, right? And then, of course, you know, basic needs like food, water, shelter. But I think once you have all that, I think then it's more, you just need to convince people that AI is a good field to go into, and allow them to give them opportunity to educate themselves, either in schools or online. And so the problem we have here in the United States is that just not enough, that our math education is not very good. We don't really inspire people to go into fields like AI or machine learning, or science and technology. So whereas, you know, I do see a lot of excitement about it in many developing countries. So especially in China, for instance, people want to go into machine learning and AI. The government is promoting that and also just investing a lot in startups and stuff. So it's sort of there's a sense of pride about it. So yeah, so I think that hopefully that helps answer your question. Yeah. I'm not. There's a lot of components to. Another thing I would say is we don't really know what the magic mix is. So, like, for instance, Silicon Valley was very successful, you know, in developing AI, but we don't really understand why that was. Some people think it was from early government investments. Some people think it's because of the warmer climate there and the sunny weather. So, but we just don't know. And that's why I'm a big fan of this idea of progress studies, which people can look up, which is a proposal to study this kind of thing. Study why is it that technology develops, when there's great, you know, a great number of inventions and technological developments, they tend to be in a small area, you know. So like in Great Britain is where the Industrial Revolution occurred, and steam engines and locomotives and all that. And then you had, say, you had the American inventors, sort of like Thomas Edison and people, kind of in a small area. And then you had, in Silicon Valley, you had the whole development of the internet and technology, all development of like information technology. So the question is, why does it always seem to be like in a concentrated area? What is the sort of ingredients that cause technological progress? And we don't really know, and it hasn't been studied specifically in that, to answer that in that kind of framing or context. So that's why people propose this idea of progress studies to try to understand that.
Yes. Oh, okay. This is very interesting. Like, but beside that, how we can make more global collaborations? What your suggestions? And second things, like what kind of technology next few years they will play as a like kings, and they will be the striker for our global economy. What's your observation?
Well, I'm not really an expert in this, so I don't like to prognosticate on things where I'm not an expert. But you know, the I hope that the pandemic inspires people to countries to work together on on problems that affect all of us as humans, such as pandemics, risks of bioengineered pandemics, global warming, and then nuclear risks from quite frankly, another one would be risks from autonomous weapons getting into the hands of terrorists. There's these different risks which affect all of us equally, and COVID-19 is one, and pandemics is one class of risks, but there are other ones. So hopefully, governments will see that we have, these common problems, and we should all work together, right? And share knowledge and have treaties to try to prevent certain man-made risks, things that man-made risks like the bioweapons. We need some treaties actually to prevent to make it harder for people to engineer bioweapons. So hopefully there'll be some progress on that. Yeah, that's where I would be most hopeful. And then just I think free trade is good. But again, I'm not an expert on like international relations, so I don't want to speak too much on this.
Yes, thank you. This is actually very good discussions. My last question is for you, that what your advice for the global community, how we can work together, how we can make a more meaningful global relationship, as well as how we can learn more science and technology.
Well, like I said, use the internet, use online courseware, and then try to connect with people who are a little bit ahead of you in their career, or a little bit more who have kind of try to find people online who are sort of where you want to be in a few years, and reach out to them on social media or send them an email. And I think most people love to talk about themselves, and I think most people love to try to help others if they have, if they have specific skills. I think people who have specific skills, like an AI, actually enjoy teaching that to other people or helping other people. So I think people should feel comfortable, reaching out to people online, sending them an email, asking if they want to do a video chat, and that will allow people to connect all across the globe, kind of like we're doing here. So I think that's as far as like working together with other people around the globe, I think the internet is very powerful for that. And then the other thing is, if you can prove, if you write code and put it online on GitHub, and if your code is good, people all across the world will see that, and you may get, if it's really good, you may actually get job offers. There are plenty of people who have gotten jobs just by putting code on GitHub. So things are becoming much more meritocratic now. It's not so much about who and what social class you're in. It's more about what you can do, and if you can show that you can write good code, you know, it's much easier to get a job now than it used to be. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, that is very interesting discussions. Definitely, yeah, yeah. So
it's still going to be hard. I'm saying it's it's at least a little bit easier now with the internet.
yes. No,
Yeah.
definitely. This is the important guideline. Let's say you are come up with the idea. If people they can write code and they can put it in GitHub, this is also a very good opportunity for them. So this is the way we can improve our opportunities, and we can find new opportunity for us. This is very interesting session. This is very interesting sessions. Actually, World Talent Economy Forums, we are trying to integrate it with the most of the international community as much as possible, and we try to learn from each others, and we try to develop a better community and knowledge-based community by which we can give better solution for the young community, for the developing nations. This is one of our objective. So any of your advice, any of your guidelines, any of your collaboration for WT forums is highly appreciable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, the only other thing I'm going to mention is the U.S. Transhumanist Party, which I'm involved in,
Yeah.
has networked with many people across the globe to promote science and technology. So, if there's people who are really into transhumanism, please, and science and technology, please go to our website, the transhumanist-party.org, and you can actually look and see if there's we have ambassadors from different countries, so you can look to see if there's an ambassador from your country, and then if there is an ambassador, yeah, I would recommend, if you're interested in this subject like transhumanism and science and technology, you should contact them and see if you can start some, you know, some kind of group or discussion in your own country. If there's not an ambassador for your country, you can actually apply to become an ambassador. So the U.S. Transhumanist Party is really trying to develop globally now. Also, some of our leadership is now spearheading this initiative called TAFIDS, which is it's a bit of a mouthful, but it's the Transdisciplinary Agora for Futurist Discussions. That was founded by a guy named Oshnakati, who is from Nigeria, and it's right now it's focused mainly on Africa, but there's ambitions to kind of make it global. So I will put a link to that in the comments section. That is the organization TAVIDS is actually working on very similar things to World Talent Economic Forum. So there's a lot of like overlap. Yeah.
Yes. No, I understand. I understand. Basically, we do more focus on Asia Pacific, and now they're working with.
Yeah, TAVIDS is really focused on Africa right now, but it has there's ambitions to expand it. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. There are many NGOs. Let's say I'm from Bangladesh. We have a big NGO. You can check BRAC. BRAC is one of the largest NGO around the world. So many NGO actually right now they are they are very well established. So we can grow together. We can learn from each other, and we can make a proper bridging and collaborations. So by which we can enhance our capacity and everything. So yes, this is very nice discussion. This is really nice discussions. So your last comments about like how we can grow about World Talent Economy Forums, and how we can make more global collaborations and partnerships, and what's your advice? Yes, Transhumanist Party really supporting us, really, because many scientists, many engineers, many researchers like you, they are also joining and they are guide us. We are really want to appreciate you and your Transhumanist Party for your support and guideline. So even how we can do more. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I mean, all of the officers of the Transhumanist Party are very appreciative of the platform you've provided for us to discuss global governance and policy and the transhumanist transhumanist solutions based on science and technology. So I want to thank you as well, because I know you've already interviewed a number of our officers, and I think those interviews have been very productive, and people find them, people who haven't watched them will find them informative. Yeah, so thank you.
Yes, yes, thank you for your time and effort. So I said from WT Forum, any of your advice, guidelines, we are very open.
Yeah.
We are very much collaborative.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do another one of these in maybe a few months, and
Yes,
we can discuss things further. Yeah.
yes, definitely. When we arrange different kind of group discussion, we arrange even debate and many kind of policy discussions. So definitely in future we're gonna invite you. So your
Great.
contribution is highly appreciable from WT Forum.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Daniel. Thank you for your time and thank you for your very good discussions and your advice and guidelines. Thank you
Yeah,
for.
it's been interesting, and I look forward to speaking to you again, and we can. Uh, I will think about some of the questions you've asked, and maybe we can. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll try to formulate some more ideas for you. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for the
Sure.
interview sessions. Yes, thank you. Bye
Yeah.
bye and
Thanks.
take care. Take care.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Thanks.